he knows better. He's been doing this a long time, okay? I watched a lot of his content in the past couple years. He knows this is a lot of bull. Don't nobody care about half of the stuff that they're complaining about. But he still feels the need to kind of suck up a little bit because he doesn't want to be too leftist. That's the vibes I'm getting. Hey, thank you for watching Power to the Pod, where we are committed to an intellectual integrity and a moral honesty. I'm your host, Superior, and once again, thank you for watching. Now, in this video, I am proud to say I am fully confident in saying what I am going to say, that Mr. Bill Maher, whatever his name is a lost cause. I mean, I understand to a certain extent when people don't want to be too left, so they kind of have to concede to some of the rights complaints about whatever the case is, even though it's petty stuff. I can still see why someone don't want to be full leftist. Like, they have to compromise and kind of be like, yeah, this woke culture, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I get it. I understand. But it feels like Mr. Bill Maher is now doing this just to be politically incorrect on purpose, just for the clout. Like, does that make sense? Like it just feels like he's just talking. He knows better. He's been doing this a long time, okay? I watched a lot of his content in the past couple years. He knows this is a lot of bull. Don't nobody care about half of the stuff that they're complaining about. But he still feels the need to kind of suck up a little bit because he doesn't want to be too leftist. That's the vibes I'm getting. And it's like, that's it. You don't want to be labeled too Democrat. So you want to these Democrats are crazy. They're extremists because, they want higher wages and free health care and, student loan debt eradicated. Like, they're crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, really? You want to compare that to January 6th? You want to compare that to some of these weirdo pedo Republican commentators that they got? You want to compare that to? Come on, Bill. So he's doing an interview with Piers Morgan, and I want you guys to watch this with me, okay? And then after the fact, I have some questions for you. So let's watch this video and let's have that conversation.
Your own show. How do you feel when you come off doing a show?
Well, we just came off.
Yeah.
There you go.
The audience is gone.
The question is, how did we come off?
Yeah.
The audience is gone, and it's just us. It's so intimate, Piers. It's so funny. I don't sleep well on Friday night because I'm a perfectionist, and I'm always turning the show over in my mind all night long. It's a live. Well, actually, we were live for 20 years, I think. The last year, since the pandemic, we tape a little earlier. But we tape in time. We don't edit anything. So it's basically what happens, what happens. And so there's always, l'express d'escalier, as the French say, the thought you had on the stairs that, oh, I should have said that, or I shouldn't have said that, or I could have put that better. So it can go 99% perfectly, and I will obsess on the 1%.
I'm the same. I have an ongoing theory that the world has gone nuts, but what I can't work out is whether it's just because we're aware of more stuff which is nuts than we ever used to be, or do you actually feel that it is going nuts?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so before he starts rambling about something just stupid, one, that's an obvious yes. Like, back in the, before the internet and Twitter and TikTok was created, of course you weren't aware of every single piece of news from home to abroad to across the world. Like, of course the world is going to feel more crazy because you're just bombarded with every single bad news that is happening across the world. So obviously, people are going to feel like that. So come on, Bill, just answer the question.
It's going nuts. I mean, we sort of touched on it in the show tonight when I was talking about norms and the attitude, I think, of the conservative people in this country about what disturbs them on the left. I would say it's the fringe of the left, but
I
the
want to know
problem with
what
the
that
left
is.
is that the people in the center who don't even believe what the fringe are believing don't stand up to them. They don't shout them down publicly, so it just becomes, it's very bad for Democrats, which I don't think is a good thing. I mostly vote for Democrats.
So what Piers Morgan, and I'm not a professional interviewer, okay? I will admit that. But it would feel good. It would be nice if Pierce would be like, hey, what are some of the things that the fringe left advocate for that the middle should be speaking out against? Because I really want to know. Come on now. Come on.
The last time I voted for a Republican. But the norms that Trump trounced on, that's a very valid point, one I've made a million times, and we all saw it in plain sight. I mean, norms of the law and democracy and answering subpoenas and respecting elections and not trying to have a coup in America. I mean, it went past norms. But their view is, okay, those are terrible norms perhaps to trample, but your norms have to do with like life itself.
Right,
Like,
biological sex.
Exactly.
I mean, we had that debate tonight. It's kind of baffling to me that we are actually having to debate these things.
That is what they're saying.
Okay, Jesus Christ. Okay. So they're really going to compare a coup, a government coup, taking over the government, trying to take over an election, okay? Trying to take over our democracy, something that is never, you want to compare that to people having a conversation about how they feel inside, how what they feel deep down inside of them. Really? I would rather people call themselves whatever they want to call themselves, instead of having crazy evil people hijack our government. I don't understand how you can even compare the two. That's not even close. Is that the far left fringe we're talking about? Is having a conversation if somebody wants to be a he or a her? I don't care. But oh my God, man, people.
I've talked to these people all the time, but I'm out in the country all the time, and they're like, we're not all crazy. We just don't feel comfortable. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. A lot of them say to me, what you don't get about us and Donald Trump is we don't like him either. We just see him as a bulwark against something that's even nuttier. Because as we know in America, people really don't vote for who they like. They vote for who they hate the least.
Right. And where are you with free speech now? Because it seems to me that as a comedian and a host.
Man. It just confuses me on the level of stupidity, and he gets paid, I'm pretty sure, pretty good. Bill Maher probably gets paid pretty good to say what? His response should have been, and I know it's not going to be a popular response. I know it's not going to be something sexy that Piers Morgan can kind of, feed off of. What Bill Maher should have said was, yeah, I know in today's politics, people don't vote. People vote who they don't want to vote for. I understand that. I get it. But what people need to start doing is stop being distracted and vote for candidates who are arguing policy, legislation, bills, what they have a positive future for America. That's what needs to be front and center. That's not no more. Like Bill said, like people are just, they don't want to vote for Trump. So whoever is going to be the runner-up for the Democrat Party, that's who we're going to vote for. Really? Is that kind of how we're boiling down everything? Oh, I don't want to vote for Joe Biden, so we got Trump again. I guess I'm voting for Trump. Like, no, that's not okay, Bill. Come on, like, how long have you been around? Long enough to know that this is not how a democracy should be ran. Not by who's the lesser evil. Come on, that's starting to become a tired excuse.
Stage, we're afraid of being attacked on Twitter.
Being cancelled.
Yes, I grew up in the age of the comedy club, and there's comedy clubs are still out there, by the way, but they were a place, as they say, to be bad. Or a place, even if you weren't bad, if you had passed that point, to try out new material.
Have we lost the ability as a society to accept being offended? Well,
of course, and that's part of it. I mean, comedy has to find where the line is, you know. Oh, you crossed the line. Well, I'm the mind seeker. I'm out there with the bayonet, digging into the ground to see where the mines are.
And who decides this line?
Once in a while, one's going to blow up.
Okay. So let me go ahead and interject this here. Okay, so one, I do understand that comics do have this weird gray line that they can play in. I get it. I've heard white comics say black jokes. I done heard a whole bunch, and I laughed at most of them because they were funny, even though they were kind of like, it's a little stereotype, but it's funny still. You know what I'm saying? Like black people eating watermelon or chicken or something. It's like, okay, I get it. It's funny. I like chicken. I like watermelon, and I'm black, so LOL. But not everybody's a comic. Just because you're on Twitter and you think that you're saying some jokes and then you don't know how to craftily make a joke to where you're not just being hateful, you don't get that I'm a comic excuse. Not everybody can use that excuse. You could just say whatever dumb thing that comes to your mind and you're going to be like, oh man, I was just being a comedian. Why you being so sensitive? Like, come on. Bill, that cannot be the excuse right there. Even comics know that there is a line. There's a hard line that you do not cross. Cross it if you want. But if people react a certain way, because we're all human beings, I don't want to hear you crying. That simple. You cannot say what you want and be like, why are people being so sensitive? Maybe you need to kind of maybe reevaluate some of the things that you say. I'm not saying, just because you call somebody stupid or something, then they get offended and now you lose your job. Of course not. Like the older white lady who was on, the news channel, she said, for shizzle my nizzle. You know what I'm saying? She was just trying to be funny. Just something that she heard. Should she have lost her job? Of course not. But if a comic wants to go on stage and say the N-word with the hard R, thinking that is funny, maybe you shouldn't be a comic. Maybe you shouldn't be a comedian. Maybe that's not the job for you. So it's a difference between saying something that's, it kind of pushing the line, but the great comedians can make it work and make you laugh. But that doesn't mean everybody's a comic. That doesn't mean everybody's a comedian on Twitter, so they get to say whatever hateful thing they want to say. It is a line. Bill, it's a line.
Up in our face,
right,
but
who
give me some credit for being the guy out there with the bayonet?
And who decides the line?
Apparently teenagers,
right?
Who decide everything in this country. Because I feel like teenagers are the ones, or people with a teenage mentality, who are the ones who fill social media with condemnation because they were raised wrong, with a sense of entitlement, in a sense that anything that causes them the least amount of discomfort cannot be tolerated for even 1 second. So when they scream and cry,
Really, Bill?
nobody says anything. That's my point about where are the people to push back?
Where are the adults?
I don't think most of the Democrats or most of the liberals in this country, old school liberals like me, are like this kind of stuff, but they don't shout it down. So if somebody does something that's a little bit outside the lines and there is a big complaint on social media, nobody stands up for them. And the problem is that nobody ever gets canceled for being too woke. So you can say the craziest thing, like men can have babies, and then nobody will, even though people are thinking, well, that's kind of nuts, nobody will say it. They'll just fall in line. Yeah, exactly. That's what I've always thought, men can have babies, sure.
Hey, Bill, from what I know, men can't have babies. So what is the problem? And I know plenty of people who will say the same thing. Bill, who are you talking about? I want to know names of these individuals. You can't just say people on Twitter, because people who actually participate on Twitter are a very few people that represent America. Not everybody who's in America is on Twitter. It's a very few people. So why are we taking truths from Twitter? Oh, was 100 people on Twitter don't like my joke. Okay. You know, there's millions of other Americans, right? Like, that are not on Twitter. So they really don't even know what's going on. That's what I hate when people say, oh, you know, people on Twitter. Like, I'm not even on Twitter. I don't even care about Twitter. Twitter is a issue right now. Why are we even taking our general analysis off of Twitter? Someone who can create 10 fake pages that easily. Like, why? I don't know, Bill. Okay, but to be honest, I'm kind of done with Bill. You know what? and I have to use the old school headphones. And it's not, trust me, it's not because Bill is too radical. He's too crazy. Oh, man. I don't want to say he's stupid, because I honestly believe that he knows a lot. He's been around long enough to understand how this is played. He's probably twice my age, and I kind of understand how this political environment goes down. So I'm pretty sure he is very well aware of what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So my question to you guys is, compared to the far right, and I'm talking about election deniers from bathing in conspiracies, Hitler's a great guy type people, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, the far right. Who is the far left? That is an honest question. I want to ask you. I want to know people's names. I don't want to say, I don't want to hear you say Democrats or the progress. I want to know names and what policies they're pushing, what ideologies they're trying to push on people. Who is the far left that people keep talking about? Because I honestly don't know. To me, far left is, asking for gun reform at this point, asking for higher minimum wage, free healthcare. Like, is that really far left? Because if that's the case, man, I'm like all up against the wall. It can't go no lefter than me. You know what I'm saying? So that's my question to you. So once again, you already know what to do. Let me know in the comments down below, and let's have that conversation.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to join the conversation by subscribing. Make sure to tune in next time, and like always, power to you, power to me, power to the people, power to the pod.